What's up, everybody? Welcome to RSQUAD. You are watching episode 133. We're in week 3 of our series on the Beatitudes, famous words of Jesus. If you were unable to join us the past few weeks, we got you covered. You can check out those videos right here so that you can get all the way caught up. But we are talking about the Beatitudes, the beginning of Jesus' most famous message that he ever preached, titled the Sermon on the Mount. And throughout this series, we're really trying to boil this down to focusing on two big questions. What is the good life? And who is a good person? Those are the big questions that Jesus is talking about throughout the Beatitudes. A lot of us are getting information and people's opinions and answers to those questions on a daily basis. It's kind of overwhelming, and I think that us as believers and those of us here at RSQUAD who wouldn't necessarily consider ourselves followers of Jesus, I think we can at least allow Jesus to speak into the conversation and give his input and wisdom on what the good life is and who a good person is. I was thinking about this thing the other day. It is a social media phenomena, the humble brag. Y'all know the humble brag? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Humble brag is when you're trying to use humble language or talk real casual or real modest, but you're talking and telling us about something that you did that you're really trying to get attention for. Yeah, like something that you're trying to show off, or some type of validation that you're trying to get, an accomplishment, or some type of success that you got. You're doing it real casual and real cool, but really you just try to get some attention. You can find humble brags anywhere. I'm going to show you a couple of my favorites. I hate when that happens. Can anyone else relate? That's the third one today, SMH. All right, what about this one? Maybe it's just me because I don't see it. But for real, what is it that makes guys think I'm irresistible? I'm confused. Yeah, I'm sure you are. Reacting to music videos I've been in. So embarrassing. What about this one? Does anyone know how to clean an AirPod case as mine are looking kind of dirty? Guys, why? I love baristas who give you free coffee and write sweet notes on your cup. Hashtag blessed for the prettiest girl I'll see today. I want to show you one more.
Let me ask you a question right off the bat. What do you think are your greatest strengths as a manager? Why don't I tell you what my greatest weaknesses are? I work too hard, I care too much, and sometimes I can be too invested in my job.
Okay. And your strengths?
Well, my weaknesses are actually strengths.
Oh.
The humble brag. We've all done it. We've all seen it. It is often used in direct correlation with hashtag blessed. Kind of like me this past weekend finding my old Pokemon card collection. I'm really trying hard not to flex, but when you got Charizard and when you got, in all seriousness, I find it pretty interesting that we live in a culture where even when we're trying to be humble, we still find a way to brag. And I think the challenge for many of us is that we fear that if we're not bragging, if we're not constantly propping ourselves up and promoting ourselves and talking about our achievements, our accomplishments, our success stories, that we're going to be ignored. Or even worse, we're going to be forgotten. And in our society, to be forgotten would be the ultimate failure. I know I'm joking about the humble brag thing, but I think it actually presents us very clearly with the reality that we all live in, which is that many times we are trying to disguise our pride as appreciation or celebration of other people or life or whatever it is. But in actuality, it's us looking for validation from other people. And all of us fall into this trap of believing the lie that our worth and our value only comes from the validation and approval of other people. And so many of us work so hard and fight so hard to constantly show the best of ourselves and to puff ourselves up and to show off. Even when we're trying to be humble, we show off so that we can gain the approval and satisfaction of others. But what that does is that it gets us into this mindset of thinking that we are at the center of the universe and that the only person that matters, the only thing that matters is our reputation, the way people see us, the way people perceive us, and that can get really unhealthy. I believe Jesus understands the danger of pride and the power of true humility. And so with that, we turn to our third beatitude, Matthew chapter 5. So Jesus sits down to teach the crowds, Matthew chapter 5, and this is what he says: "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." And then here's what we're talking about this week: "Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth." Meek, or some translations use the word humble. What are the first words that come to your mind when you think of that? For many of us, it's probably weak, passive, quiet, gentle, submissive, a lot of things that our culture doesn't like. And last week we discussed blessed are those who mourn. And I was thinking about that as more of a circumstantial thing. You know, something bad happens and then we mourn. It's based on situations. But meekness, that's not really situational. That's just a choice we make every day. That's more of an attitude. That's more of a posture. That's more of a way of living. So I'm going to give a little bit of a bigger definition of what meekness and humility really is. And I think that's going to help us figure out and understand what Jesus is really trying to get at here. So here we go. So here's some things that would make up a meek person. Number one, a meek person is a person who obediently accepts God's guidance. They obey. They're obedient to God. And sometimes being obedient to God means denying yourself something that you would like to do or something that you want to do because you understand obedience of God requires something of you. But a meek person and a humble person has a confidence. A lot of people think that humble people don't have confidence, or that quiet people or meek people don't have any confidence. And the thing is that they actually have the most confidence, but they have confidence in God and that His plan and way is the best way, rather than the pride and controlling perspective, which is a lot of confidence in yourself. Meek people don't lack confidence. They actually have amazing confidence in God rather than themselves. And lastly, meek people, humble people submit and surrender to God's plan for their life. Our culture does not understand that submission and surrender are actually good for you and they actually lead you to freedom. Our society thinks that that stuff's gonna restrict you and you need to be your own boss and authority and truth and all of the things. Like you just need to remove all accountability and remove all areas of submission and surrender, because why would you want to be under someone else? But Scripture actually not only calls us to submit to God and His plan, but also to submit and to surrender to one another. That's why being involved with RSQUAD and a church community and family is so important. We're accountable to and submit to other leaders, to other leadership, and that's one of the best ways that we could possibly rid ourselves of pride, is being submissive to and under the leadership and authority of other people as they are led by God. So to sum it all up, meek people believe that God's way is best. Whatever He says about relationships is best. Whatever He says about truth is best. Whatever He says about plans for my life is best. His way is best, and He is working everything together for my good. There's actually a scripture about that. Yeah. So to wrap this thing up, humility is not really a behavior. It's not really something we do. It's more of the state of our heart. And that makes it really hard to fake. It's really hard to fake being content and satisfied in who you are and in who God is. It's hard to fake that. RSQUAD, let's grow in our understanding of what it means to be meek, of what it really means to be humble. It's not weakness. It's not being passive or not being involved in anything that's going on. No, it's actually great strength and confidence and trust in who we are and in who God is. It's great confidence in God's plan and way being the best way, and that He is working everything together for our good. This is where Jesus says we experience the good life, when we experience the freedom that comes from being able to let go of wanting control, to let go of our pride, and to let go of just trusting in ourselves, but the freedom that comes from submitting our lives and our plans and our desires over to God as we follow Him in full surrender. Blessed is the person who believes that God's way really is the best way. Blessed are those who are meek, for they will inherit the earth.